Good evening, folks. McKinleyville Community Services District Board of Directors regular meeting, Wednesday, October 22, 24, will now come to order. Okay, Mr. Mayo, would you please, oh, I'm sorry. Joey, would you please call the roll?
President Bender?
Here.
Director Beitman? Here. Director Couch? Here. Director Mayo?
Present.
Director Orsini?
Present.
Okay, now Director Mayo will lead us in the pledge.
Would you please join me in the salute? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
We have no changes to the agenda.
Okay. A4, approval of the agenda. I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Joey?
President Bender?
Yes.
Director Beitman?
Yes.
Director Couch?
Yes.
Director Mayo?
Yes.
Director Orsini?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's approved. Closed session discussion. At any time during the regular session, the board may adjourn to closed session to consider existing or anticipated litigation, liability claims, real property negotiations, license and permit determinations, threats to security, public employee appointments, personnel matters, evaluations and discipline, labor negotiations, or to discuss with legal counsel members within the attorney-client privilege. We have no closed session scheduled for this evening. Public hearings. These are items of a quasi-judicial or legislative nature. Public comments relevant to these proceedings are invited. We have no public hearings scheduled. C, public comment and written communications. Any person may address the board at this time upon any subject not identified on this agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the McKinleyville Community Services District. However, any matter that requires action will be referred to staff for a report of action at a subsequent committee or board meeting. As for matters on the agenda, an opportunity will be given to address the board when the matter is considered. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Letters should be used for complex issues. If we have any public comment from the gallery, please step to the podium, state your name, and have at it. Okay, do we have any public comment on Zoom? Okay, that is that. Okay, D, consent calendar. Consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial, to be acted upon by the Board of Directors at one time without discussion. If any board member, a staff member, or interested person requests that an item be removed from the consent calendar, it shall be removed so that it may be acted upon separately. Okay. Is there anyone on the board who wishes to remove an item?
I wanted to remove D4.
D4 will be removed. Are there any other removals? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a motion to approve items D1, D2, D3.
I'll move items D1 through D3.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Joey?
President Bender?
Yes.
Director Beitman?
Yes.
Director Couch?
Yes.
Director Mayo? Yes. Director Orsini?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Considering item D4, would you consider adoption of Resolution 2024-22 proclaiming October 5th through October 13th, 2024 as California Water Professionals Appreciation Week? Pat, would you please present this item?
Thank you.
I just going to read the discussion.
Okay.
Why I pulled it.
Oh,
Actually, I think I'll read into the record the resolution, if that's okay with the board.
Sure.
So in 2017, the California Legislature established Water Professionals Appreciation Week. In 2024, the week will be celebrated October 5th through the 13th. The week is intended to recognize the important role water and wastewater professionals play in California by ensuring a safe and reliable water supply. Water is essential to the well-being and economic prosperity of California. This resolution acknowledges the significant contributions of these professionals and the importance of their work. Resolution 2024-22, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the McKinleyville Community Services District proclaiming October 5th through the 13th, 2024, California Water Professionals Appreciation Week. Whereas water is the lifeblood of California, and without safe and reliable water, no community and no sector of the economy, from high-tech to manufacturing to agriculture, can thrive or expand. And whereas now more than ever, the water industry is proud of the important role our essential workers play in making sure our communities have safe and reliable drinking water. And whereas, thanks to technological advances by highly skilled and trained water professionals and the dedication of thousands of industry professionals in the state, California drinking water and treated wastewater meets some of the most stringent water quality standards in the nation. And whereas, depending on where you live in California, your water may come from a nearby well or river, or it may travel hundreds of miles through rivers, canals, or pipelines to reach your tap. Regardless of where it originates, your drinking water is filtered, cleaned, tested, and distributed in a process carefully managed by trained water professionals. And whereas California is steadily expanding the reuse of treated wastewater and pioneering the use of advanced purified recycled water to replenish aquifers, prevent seawater intrusion, and improve local water supply reliability. And whereas water professionals at local public water and wastewater agencies work 24/7 to plan for the future, maintain and upgrade their systems, and improve the safety and resilience of local water supplies for their communities. And whereas, according to the Public Policy Institute of California, local public water and wastewater agencies invest more than $25 billion a year on local water-related programs and projects that protect public health and the environment, improve local water supply reliability, replenish and clean up groundwater basins, provide water for fire protection, and protect against floods. And whereas thousands of essential water, wastewater, and recycled water industry professionals in the state dedicate their careers to keeping drinking water, recycled water, and treated wastewater safe and reliable for use by Californians. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the McKinleyville Community Services District hereby declares October 5th through the 13th, 2024, Water Professionals Appreciation Week, and extends its sincere gratitude and appreciation to the water and wastewater professionals who work 24/7 to provide excellent essential services to our community every day. So staff recommends that the board review the information provided, discuss, take public comment, and adopt Resolution 2024-22 proclaiming October 5th through the 13th, 2024 as California Water Professionals Appreciation Week.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Director Couch.
Well, I just wanted to thank our Oop, am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
I just wanted
Just
to
gotta
make
get
sure that
closer.
I thank our local wastewater professionals, because we have quite a few of them who work for us, and we're getting ready to do employee negotiations. So I just wanted to make sure that they're included in this statewide appreciation, that we appreciate our staff who does that work. So thank you, guys.
Okay, any more board comments on this?
I agree.
Yes, I concur.
I definitely concur, and that extends to everyone, not only the boots on the ground people on the streets, underneath the grounds, crawling around in the sewers, but also to our administrative professionals in office. And not only to us, but I'd like to also extend, the sentiment here to our friends from Big Lagoon.
I might add, we all take it for granted. I took it a little less for granted because I had a well at a ranch and fought with it for years and years, not just a ranch, but many places. And then when I got community water, I went, wow, this is cool. And no matter what happened, it was easy to pay my bill. And I still took it for granted until I started doing this pretty close now to 20 years. And it's amazing what your local water agencies, your local water professionals do to provide this amazing resource to the public. It's mind-boggling. And unless you get in the middle of it, it's really hard to understand how incredibly involved it is and how incredibly dedicated the people that provide this to you are.
Okay, thanks. Are there any other comments from the board?
I'll comment.
Okay.
I'm a short timer on the board, but I'm a fairly long timer in the community. And I have come to appreciate the professionalism of the field staff and the office staff and their dedication to their work. And it doesn't matter where I go in this community, when I encounter members of the MCST crew, I'm pleased and proud to have them here and to be a member of this community. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you guys for all you do.
Awesome. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, since everybody else is adding a little bit more, I will too. Being in the industry for 35 years, it takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication. A lot of times you're out in the middle of the night working, as James can attest to, when you have to go shut off a fire hydrant that's been knocked off, and you're being pounded by a water stream that's shooting up 60 feet in the air and coming down on top of you, and you have to close that valve. It gets real fast about what it takes, and as it's been pointed out here, everybody who works for McKinleyville Community Services District is involved in making sure that the water flows, not just the guys that are out on the streets turning the valves. Every single person in financing, our HR people, everybody there has a job to do, whether it's taking care of the resources and the infrastructure in the ground or taking care of the resources that is the most important, and that's the people that are coming to work and working for the district. It's very important, and I think that with us being a community services district and our focus being on water and sewer and streetlights and parks and rec, our folks really get to focus on the professionalism and being able to provide that service of reliable and safe drinking water and focusing on those things, and I think that's very important. And having experienced the vast majority of the people that we work with, I know that they all take that very seriously, whether it's calling somebody because they might have a leak in their meter, to make sure that they really understand that they might be losing water, or whether it's the guys that go out and fix the leaks in the streets or install new services, or the person who's collecting the money at the front counter, so that our cash flow continues. They're all very important parts of what we do here. And so I just want to make sure that all of our staff understand just how grateful our board is and the people in this community are that we've got such a great bunch of people working for us. So thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, Greg. Any other comments from the board?
I think now I will move to pass D4.
Okay, is there any comments from staff? Okay, comments from general public, including on Zoom?
I know Mary Burke had something, and she's missed the general public comment period. I don't know if it's appropriate for you to comment during this item.
Thanks, Pat. I was kind of wondering if it would be okay for me to insert this. It is an appreciation element. It just may be a way to layer on appreciation for the great work that MCSD does. A few months ago, I was contacted by the Potawatomi Health Services, United Indian Health Services, and they let me know for our work down at the the trail on the property owned by McKinleyville Community Services District at the end of School Road, that they were interested in bringing forth an award. They did not give me much information about the award. They did let me know that Cal Trout was receiving an award, and lo and behold, I went to the award ceremony. And they also would like to recognize McKinleyville Community Services District for being a landowner, a partner, for championing, this project, which is a public access site and fisheries habitat restoration. And so they gave McKinleyville Community Services District an award as well. So I'm here to pass that on and layer on, the excellence that comes from McKinleyville Community Services District, from the board to the staff, and my great appreciation. So here's an additional award to be received by McKinleyville Community Services District tonight.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. What's in the plastic?
Yeah, it was a last minute thing.
Oh, okay.
What is that?
Is this a photo op moment?
What is that?
I said, is this a photo op moment?
Oh,
I'm asking Pat.
You're the board president.
I think we
so.
should get a photo.
I do too.
Let me make my scooter less ugly.
Take a photo, you guys.
Yes, this is pretty cool. Yeah. Well, I wish one of us could have been there for that. That would have been awesome.
We do it in front of our MCSD placard?
Yeah, we can do that.
I think that's the best place for that.
See if I can wipe my chair out again.
Yeah, these chairs scoot around
Yeah, they're pretty frisky.
pretty frisky on this slick floor.
All right, well, we need to cross the Ts and dot the Is on the consent calendar item D4. So I'll call for a motion to approve.
It's already been approved.
You had a motion and a second.
Oh, okay. Well, and
We're
Joey.
just lacking a vote.
President Bender,
Yes.
Director Beitman,
Yes.
Director Couch,
Yes.
Director Mayo, Director Orsini.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Continued new business, item E1, consider providing Big Lagoon CSD meter reading and billing as well as reporting assistance. This is an action item, and General Manager Pat Kaspari will present this.
Thank you, President Bender. As the board is aware, in March 2024, the Big Lagoon Community Services District made an initial request for assistance from McKinleyville CSD in the operation of their water system. District staff then developed a detailed cost estimating spreadsheet for the task requested, which is included as attachment 1 to your board packets. The district staff estimated the hours to perform each task and utilized the fully loaded hourly rate for the specific district staff that would likely perform the task. The intent would be to perform the The requested services for Big Lagoon at no fiscal cost to MCSD ratepayers. These services would be provided at cost and no attempt would be made to make a profit off of Big Lagoon ratepayers. This spreadsheet was then submitted to Big Lagoon on May 7th, 2024. Big Lagoon then discussed the task and costs at their July 28th board meeting. MCSD staff met with Richard Mayer and Craig Satine on August 6, 2024 at the meeting. At the meeting, Mr. Mayer and Mr. Satine stated that the Big Lagoon board had given them direction to request that MCSD staff perform tasks 1 through 6, or setting up the Big Lagoon system in our accounting system, 8 through 10, monthly meter readings and billings, 11, 12, and 16 through 21, or monthly and annual reporting. Big Lagoon would perform tasks 7A, 7B, 13, 14, and 15, which consist of the chlorine residual and bacteria sampling and reporting. After the meeting with Big Lagoon, MCSC staff reached out to the executive director of the Local Agency Formation Committee, or LAFCO, to see if LAFCO would need to approve or do anything else to allow MCSD to take over these responsibilities. LAFCO was supportive of MCSD assisting Big Lagoon and cited Government Code Section 61070 and Government Code Section 56133E1. LAFCO staff also requested that once there was a contract, to send it to them with a written description of the service arrangement and any other supporting documentation of the contractual arrangement. They also stated that this should be in the form of an official request to be exempt from commission consideration and approval in accordance with Government Code Section 56133E. LAFCO will then formally respond with a written determination. MCSD staff also discussed this with the State Water Resources Control Board to see if they would have any issues with MCSD taking over this role. State Water Resources Control Board staff cautioned that our operator would then take on responsibilities for their system and could be held responsible for any deficiencies, permit violations, etc. They also said that MCSD could be responsible for making improvements to the Big Lagoon system required by the State Water Resources Control Board. These sorts of issues would of course have to be addressed in any services agreement signed between the parties to protect MCSD ratepayers and make sure Big Lagoon was responsible for any additional costs not explicitly laid out in the agreement. MCSD staff also reached out to the district legal counsel and they agreed that there would be all sorts of issues to be addressed, not the least of which would be a service agreement. District's legal counsel also represents LAFCO and Big Lagoon, and there would have to be a conflict waivers executed. Rather than starting on all these tasks, we agreed to wait to see if the MCSD board wished to have us pursue these items. There are also the non-monetary impacts of providing these services to Big Lagoon. As detailed in the cost estimate, this would mean another 22 hours per month for finance staff and operations staff reading the meters and billing. There would also be another 53 hours per year for the operations directors and reporting tasks. All of these don't sound like a lot of time, but MCSD staff is already fully busy. We run an efficient and lean organization that at times can feel too lean. The addition of the Big Lagoon work will add to that workload and stress. At the September 4th, 2024 MCSD board meeting, the above issues were discussed with this board, as well as Mr. Mayer from Big Lagoon. Mr. Mayer stated that the Big Lagoon CSD board's priorities were to get help with meter reading and billing, then with operations and reporting. He also mentioned that Russ Gans is also the Big Lagoon CSD legal counsel and that they were fine using him to develop a service agreement. He also mentioned that Big Lagoon was hoping to split the legal costs to develop the agreement, but said that if this was a deal breaker, Big Lagoon would likely cover the cost. He also mentioned that their existing operator's distribution certificate expires in 2028, so they need to have a long-term plan by then. The MCSD board stressed the desire that if MCSD takes on these responsibilities, that there is an end date and a plan for Big Lagoon to resolve these issues. The MCSD board also requested that GM Kaspari discuss the risk exposure to MCSD for taking on this role with the district's insurer. MCSD's insurer is the Special District Risk Management Authority, or SDRMA. Big Lagoon also uses SDRMA as their insurer. The MCSD board directed GM Kaspari to ask SDRMA's risk management officer if MCSD employees would be covered for this work and whether the MCSD operations director was protected from liability for certifying their reports. GM Kaspari reached out to Debbie Yakota, SDRMA's Chief Risk Officer, to ask these questions, and she responded, "The district would have general liability insurance for any work that the district's employees performed. I cannot say that they would be covered in every instance because that would depend on the circumstances, and if a claim is filed, what the allegations are included in the claim. I will say that McKinleyville CSD sounds like it will be a contractor to Big Lagoon CSD. Big Lagoon CSD will most likely not have coverage under our policy for any work that McKinleyville CSD does because there is an exclusion for contractors. MCSD staff is very reluctant to take on the added workload associated with assisting Big Lagoon. The operations director is already overly busy with his typical work running the water, sewer, and streetlight departments and conforming to all the state reporting requirements. He is also overseeing the construction of a 4.5 million gallon water tank, finalizing the construction of the microgrid system, overseeing the design of the Fisher lift station upgrade, as well as the replacement of the Hewitt water tanks in the office remodel design, as well as overseeing the construction of the BMX park. He's also assisting with the finalization of the grants for the construction of the Mad River water main crossing, as well as the Highway 101 sewer crossing grant, as well as implementing the water and sewer line rehabilitation program. The community force is also occupying considerable time of all district staff. Add to this the risk and potential scope associated with MCSD's operations director taking on Big Lagoon reporting tasks, and staff can't recommend adding this additional burden. Staff gave careful consideration of assisting Big Lagoon with their billing and meter reading services, since this was Big Lagoon's highest priority. As we reviewed the scope in additional detail, concerns were raised about the ability and additional work involved in maintaining complete isolation between Big Lagoon and MCSD's accounts. We have not completely resolved setting up Big Lagoon routes in our existing billing system. It is likely doable, but it is also likely that our MOMS programmer is going to have to charge us for setting up those services. We're also hoping to pursue a new accounting software program in the next few years, and having to be able to integrate Big Lagoon into the new program would also add additional complexity and cost. We would also likely have to purchase a separate credit card machine to process Big Lagoon's payments to keep them separate from ours. Our finance director would also likely need to be added to Big Lagoon's bank account permissions to be able to make corrections to deposits, etc., which adds another level of risk to the district. Accounting and finance staff are also fully busy. Benjamin Arroyo is starting training as the payroll backup staff and will be running payroll every other month. He is also training to provide additional assistance with the annual audit and budgeting. Evie Young is also going to be training the new employee that will be hired to pick up some of the tasks that Benjamin would no longer have time to perform. I also want to point out too, with the retirement of David Baldasser last year, longtime employee up front, Evie is doing a great job taking over for him, but she is absolutely learning. And Samantha, as you know, is our new finance director, and having just come on, she's in the middle of the audit right now and learning that process, and will quickly move into her first budgeting process and have to learn that. The board is reminded that their first responsibility is to the MCSD ratepayers. Although it is important to help our fellow CSDs in times of trouble, it is also important not to do this to the detriment of MCSD's operations. Staff feels that the added burden of assisting Big Lagoon to this extent will have a direct impact on the level of service they are able to provide to the existing MCSD customers. So staff recommends that the board review, discuss the information provided, hear from Big Lagoon CSD representatives, take public comment, and do not approve staff providing requested assistance to Big Lagoon to the detriment of MCSD customers.
Okay, thank you, Pat. We do recognize that Mr. Myers is in the audience tonight. If he'd like to step up to the microphone and provide his comments, please do so.
Is it already on? Yeah. First of all, thank you for all the consideration that you guys have given us. We appreciate all of the effort that you have put in. At this point, I understand the comments that I reviewed that you had sent to us before this meeting. I would just like to say that I understand the concerns that you have, especially from the finance standpoint. Having been a retired CPA and running my own firm, I absolutely understand those. If in fact the board decides not to provide us with any support at this point. I would hope that if you reach a point where there would be an opportunity in 2025 to pursue this matter, that we'd be given the opportunity to come back to the board and see if in fact there's a way for us to sort of be able to work together. I would be more than happy, because I am retired, to provide you with any support or services that you need to be able to make a transition. That is our number one priority, because of the fact that we understand that we have our water system coverage from a technical standpoint up until 2028. The piece that is most important to us right now is the billing and collections. Other than that, again, thank you for your consideration, and if you have any other questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn it over to the board. I know Dennis has something to say.
Good.
This is, I wasn't, I was hoping that the staff report wouldn't have been exactly this. And yet I completely understand. I see both sides of this deal. But I just wanted to say that lots of the things that look like issues here are things that I will work on in the next year or two, if I'm allowed to continue doing that legislatively, and so that some of the concerns about liabilities and stuff might be able to get addressed in a better way. Because all over the state of California, there's issues like this, but even worse, where there's legal precedents now for districts that aren't performing well to be sucked into another district, you know, and not necessarily in the best of ways. So I think I need to say that MCSD has become a very significant district in our region and in the state of California in water issues. We've worked really hard to get into this position with the major state agencies and players, and our relationships with our assemblyman and our state senator and our congressman and our two senators, and on water issues like regulation and legislation and education and advocacy. And we've taken a leading role to support these issues, and not just with larger districts, which we've utilized relationships with, but we've taken a position to advocate for small districts like Big Lagoon, as an example, because even though we're a small district, we're a very, very good district, and we're very well respected in the state and in the agencies, because we do advocate for more than the sum of our parts. And you know, we provide a stewardship for smaller water providers. And so I felt a real commitment to honor all of that work by, you know, helping in any way possible our neighbors and our other water districts. And that's how I feel about my position, or my desire to help Big Lagoon. Now, we also have been through this in the past with Fieldbrook, and we decided not to do that, and that was some time ago, so I understand that. I appreciate your comments about coming back and trying to work on things, and I would hope that our board would be open to that. And I have some thoughts about creative ways to maybe facilitate things until we do that, and I'm happy to talk to you guys about that later. But anyway, those are my comments, and I don't mean them in any way to detract from what our staff has presented to us in a very cogent way. Just my feelings and my comments, so thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. Okay, Greg?
Yes, thank you very much, staff, for laying this out for us so that we could kind of get a grip on what it is. So my personal opinion is, as is 20% of this board, is that our number one priority is to our ratepayers, and in making sure that our staff is taken care of is the best way that we can get to that. I think that if our staff's position is they don't have the capacity to take this on, I guess we're just going to have to respect that. Though inside of me, I would hope that we could help you guys out somehow, but it just doesn't seem like it's in the cards right now. And I very much respect the situation that you're in up there. And but you know, if our staff is telling us that it's a bridge too far, then I just have to respect that and go along with that. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Director Couch or Director Byman?
This is a hard one. And the reason that it's a hard one is because we're all a community. And being a community means that we stand together, we stand to support each other, we stand to care about each other. And that's been one of the qualities and characteristics of MCSD that's made it so great. And now at the same time, I recognize that we have placed a large burden on our staff, both from their normal work and from changes in the last year in terms of people moving from one position to another, or new people coming into positions. And they're still getting their feet under them to be able to handle those jobs and do them well. And so I'm torn. And if I have to choose between one and the other, I will say that my loyalty lies first with our staff and supporting them. If we were to undertake something, no matter how well-intentioned and no matter how consistent with our purpose, that would result in serious detriment to the health, the welfare, the abilities of our staff to do their work well, I could not live with that one. And well, none of the staff have come to me to say, we can't handle it. What I've gotten is, this is probably more than we should take on. And that leaves me with the really uncomfortable, and it was more than uncomfortable, the painful position of choosing between two things that I intensely believe in. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
Well, I kind of had two things that I was thinking about. One of them, since I'm kind of involved with LAFCO, is this really is outside our sphere of influence or our service area, and so that's a problem. You're not supposed to provide services, in those areas. The second thing is, since I worked in this industry and supervised meter readers, one of the requests is for meter reading services, and that's a tremendous amount of work. And I don't, I don't know what the meters are like, but that's something I don't take very lightly. And so I wouldn't want our system. We have a very specific system in McKinleyville. I don't know if the one at Big Lagoon would comply with it. And so that's just my other big consideration, is it's not providing meter reading services. It sounds real easy, but it's actually a real big difficult thing. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, my comment is that if we don't have the support of the boots on the grounds workers in the administrative section, in plant ops, then I can't go along with it. Although Dennis did bring up a good point, times do change. Next year, something might happen to where we're better empowered to help out their district. Things may happen on their end that would make it easier for us to help them out. But the legal risk and the additional workload that is being concerned with by our staff, I really can't support it at this time. Staff, do you have any comments? Okay, members of the public?
Mary Burke again, and I work in watershed restoration for a conservation organization. I work up in the community of Orick, or adjacent there, up in the Redwood Creek, Prairie Creek watershed. And being in that community for a number of years, I've gotten to know Ron Barlow, the Orick Community Services District board chair. And I just want to speak to, as I've heard the directors mention, this is not a one-off of a small special district having needs that they're looking for help. And so while I completely support the directors in what I've heard you going by staff's recommendation to not take on the services now, I just ask, how might we as a community and as experts in special districts look to support our smaller districts by forming, could there be a consortium or something? And I'm looking at Director Orsini in particular, because I believe at one point there was an intention of forming a smaller districts like association to pool resources, or at least to have the venue to help smaller districts have their needs be met. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak to that.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Okay, do we have any other comments? Okay, I'll call for a motion to approve. Seeing no motion, the item fails. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and skip up to item E4, since members of the equestrian community are here and we don't want to bore you with our other stuff. So we will consider adoption of Resolution 2024-21, affirming board support of the existing memorandums and understandings with the Redwood Coast Mountain Bike Association and the Mountain Bike Tribal Trail Alliance. This is an action item, and it is presented by General Manager Kaspari.
Thank you, President Bender. I was going to let Joey talk for a while, but I guess I'll jump back in. While the district was in the process of acquiring the community forest land from Green Diamond Resource Company as part of the grant from the California Natural Resource Agency District staff met with board members from the Redwood Coast Mountain Bike Association, or RCMBA. RCMBA had an existing memorandum of understanding with Green Diamond to provide access to Green Diamond land and construct and maintain mountain bike trails on their land. The MOU extended to land that would eventually become McKinleyville Community Forest land. RCMBA was concerned that the work they had already invested in these trails would be lost if they could not also execute an MOU with MCSD. We assured them that we'd be happy to continue these discussions and utilize RCMBA volunteers' support for construction of mountain bike and multi-purpose trails in the community forest. After the acquisition of the land by the district, copies of the existing RCMBA MOU with Green Diamond, as well as the one they have with Humboldt County for the McKay Tract, were obtained. District staff reworked and combined these MOUs, and upon approval of the ad hoc Community Forest Committee, submitted the MOU to the district legal counsel for review and editing. Copies of the MOU were then provided to RCMBA for their review and were eventually adopted by RCMBA and the district, and the MOU executed. The Mountain Bike Tribal Trail Alliance, or MBTTA, had also been in discussions with Green Diamond about executing a similar MOU. Green Diamond decided not to execute an MOU with MBTTA since the transfer of land was imminent. District staff and the Ad hoc Community Forest Committee did not feel that it was a good precedent to exclude any groups that are able to conform to the requirements of the MOU and assist in the development of the community forest trails and other infrastructure, and therefore executed a similar MOU with MBTTA. The existing MOUs are included as attachment 2 and 3 to this staff note. As detailed in the MOUs, there are extensive benefits to the district and the community for these collaborative partnerships between the district and the mountain bike associations, including the commitment to support recreational trail use, expanding access to trails, and enhancing the social and economic benefit of trails within the McKinleyville area. The MOUs provide the necessary protection for the district and will assist with the development of the forests. Staff likely should have brought these MOUs to the full board for approval prior to their final execution, but are asking the board to pass Resolution 2024-21, affirming the MOUs in support of this collaborative partnership. So staff recommends the board review the information provided, discuss, take public comment, and adopt Resolution 2024-21, affirming board support of the executed memorandums of understanding with the Redwood Coast Mountain Bike Association and the Mountain Bike Tribal Trail Alliance.
Okay, thank you, Pat. I understand that there are members of the community here that may like to speak on this item, so I will entertain an initial public comment session right now, as your comments may affect our board discussion going forward. Does anyone wish to speak to this item?
Hi, my name's Karen Brooks, and I'm a process geek. So I don't know if this is the first time the board is hearing this. I know what the paper trail is and all of this, but usually action items, they're read before the board but no action is taken. So I just wanted to ask about the process by finding something that the board didn't know about and now it's before the board for action. So that's my take.
Okay, thank you. Are any other members of the public who wish to speak to this item? Members on Zoom? I see one. No hand up. Okay, we'll bring it back to the board. Okay, bring it to staff. Okay, well, that's all.
I'm taking notes.
Go ahead, Greg.
Am I the only one?
He's making his notes first before he talks.
Yeah. Am I the only one that wants to speak to this?
I'd like to hear from staff. What would be the consequence of the board refusing to approve this proposal?
There's the short-term consequences of any work that they're currently helping with, which has actually been put on hold while we are developing the trail management plan and the forest management plan. that they would not be able to continue any of that work. It is on hold now. We're developing the trail plan with the community and intend to go move forward on that. So they're already waiting. I'm very concerned about the precedent of the district saying, yeah, sure, we want all of this help on the community forest. We need this help. We can't do all this work by ourselves. And we have these groups that come forward and say, hey, we'd love to work with you and help you build these multi-purpose trails. And then us just saying, nah, we don't want the help. So I'm very concerned about that. We did execute these MOUs with the mountain bike folks. The mountain bike folks are the only folks that have approached us asking for this. We're, like we did with MBTTA, we're open to anyone coming forward. We anticipate that the disc golf folks are going to come forward and want to work with us. We hear quite a bit about the equestrian folks that want to help and can and have been providing help on the Redwood Parks, et cetera. And we would love for them to come and say, hey, we'd love to help you guys out too and execute an MOU as well. But so far, we haven't had anyone come and make that request. I'll stop there.
Okay. Yes, Dennis.
Pat, could you clarify that this MOU is not, or what the I'm trying to get my words right here. This MOU does not preclude any other group that comes in and will actually work in the same area, or that the district will be precluded from saying, we like these things to work together, or let's change this a little bit. All those decisions are final with us at the board. And is that impression correct?
That is absolutely correct, and it's pretty well laid out in the MOU that those guys can't just go out there and start willy-nilly doing stuff. They need formal approval.
And when the disc golf group comes in, or the horse group comes in, or the Boy Scouts come in, or Two Feathers comes in, that we're going to meld all of that together. It's not going to be, well, you did this and now they can't do that, and some of that may actually occur, who the heck knows, but those decisions will be vetted and this board will be the final arbiter.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, and I want to make sure that it's clear too. You don't have to come to us and say, hey, I'd like to have this trail be able to be utilized by bicyclists as well as horseback riders, as well as hiking and stuff. We're going to automatically do that. That's going to be part of our trails plan, is that we're going to make them conform to all the multi-uses up there. So we don't need to sign an MOU with anyone to take their concerns or into consideration. It's just one of the options.
Okay. Jim?
Another question, Pat, in terms of process. Do you believe that the planning process, the one that develops a trails plan or a usage plan, will be effective in assuring that all users are considered, and the other side of that, and that one particular user group does not somehow or another dominate the eventual usage of the property? That's not said very well, but I hope that the question is clear.
That absolutely is the intent. Yeah, So there are going to be some trails that the mountain bike folks are going to want to have dedicated to mountain bike stuff. And some of the trails that they're working on are jump trails and stuff. And you don't want to have a horse coming up the trail while you're going down on a mountain bike and doing jumps. So there are going to be some trails that are single use, if you will. But the vast majority of them, and one of the main reasons we pull the mountain bike folks in right away is to get help constructing the trail that runs parallel to Murray Road. That runs from the bottom of the property all the way up to the parking lot on Murray Road. Murray Road is not a good road to bicycle or walk or ride your horse on. It's a narrow road that people do 60 miles an hour going up, and especially coming down that hill. So the explicit request to the mountain bike folks was build this trail that anyone can use it, because that is what we want. We want to be able to get people safely up and down the trail. And they did get some horse folks to come and ride it as well, to see where the areas were that they had issues getting a horse through, and then they worked on that. That trail still needs work, but it at least is a starting point. Long answer to your question.
It's a long question, thank you. It's not a simple one.
So, for many years, I worked on the National Trail Council, the Trail Trust, on multimodal transportation with federal parks and different state parks on motorcycles and horseback riding in those places. And it's very doable, it's just a matter of the last one we did was at Folsom Lake. And it's a way hell of a more used facility than this is going to be, although this is going to be a very used facility. And it just takes everybody working together and being cooperative. And then occasionally, just like you were talking about that one particular space, there are places where you may bifurcate, actually say, well, no, here's where the trail, we're going to do our horses here and the bicyclists are here. But that's just a minute possibility. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out. It's really doable, and it's important that you all participate. The mountain bike guys have been here, and they've really been here and doing it. We want to work with.
Did you turn off your mic? Did you turn off your mic?
Did I? I'm sorry. So, anyway, that's.
Just turn off your mic. Take your finger off that button. So you don't
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm kind of confused how you did this because it strikes me as going backwards because I don't know that people here understand where the trails.
Could you speak into the microphone, please, so the people online can hear you too? Thank you.
I don't know that I don't understand the order of things because you asked for public comment, and as someone from the public, I don't know where these trails are. And now you folks are discussing approving trails, but I haven't seen the plans for the trails. And have you published that? That's my question. So do we know where these trails that you're making? So if we don't know where the trails you're making are, how can we say it's a good or a bad thing? And I say that as a mountain biker. I mean, I'd like to know where these trails are, and I'd like to know that they're environmentally well thought out. When you mountain bike, you can go pretty fast on down hills. There are some places that make trails one way. And then crossings and stuff, where if you're crossing people walking and equestrians and mountain bikes, you have to have careful crossings thought out. So I understand that you've made an MOU with the mountain biking organization. That's fantastic. But it seems to me that then you present to the public what the plans are, so then the public can comment on it. Because I go back there, I've been going back there for 11 years, both on mountain bikes and horses, and I don't know where these trails are, but you're approving them without input, and the input is asking the audience here today to make comments on something that I haven't personally seen. So I'm just asking, have you presented the trails to the public so we can comment on it?
Probably got a better idea where the trails are than any of us. You've been riding your bike there for 11 years.
I've been asked by the chair to clarify this. So this specific item is not about any specific trails. This is more about the MOUs that we have with the two mountain bike communities in their assistance with us. It's more, we're talking more about the process of the MOUs than we are about where we're building trails or how we're going to build trails.
You know, I'm sort of deaf, so I must have missed this, because what I heard at the start is they're making trails, and you don't want to stop them making the trails they're making. So I asked you if you've shown the public what the trails are, and now I thought what you just said was that they're not making.
This item is specifically to talk about the MOUs. It has nothing to do with the trails.
Are they making trails?
Through the board president.
Yes, they made one trail, and Pat outlined that. It's a trail that runs parallel from the parking lot down to the west side of our property, and that was done with the approval of the district.
Have they made other trails?
No, not that
And
I'm aware
will
of.
they have public input before they make other trails?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, well, what happens is that you provide your input to the McKinleyville Community Forest Committee, and they're the ones, their subcommittee, their trails subcommittee is the one that's going to be reviewing the trail plans and developing the trail plans in conjunction with the different organizations that are party to building them, in addition to our own trails.
Right. So I'm just asking, again, I just think it's important that you show the public what the trails are before they're built, and that their input, and that's not how I heard it tonight, because you asked for input for the public and then you discuss the trails. I just would think you do it the other way around.
Okay, to clarify that, I asked for initial input because I thought that the comments from the public tonight would add value to our discussion going forward.
Yeah, we've literally just established the Trail Management Plan Subcommittee. The Trail Management Plan Subcommittee, who is the subcommittee who's going to work with the public to establish what trails go where and get them approved, has not even met yet. Their first meeting is next month, or the end of this month, on 29th of October at 5 o'clock at the district office. So that's going to be the first of many meetings where people can provide input on the trails. And then all of that is going to come back to the public, likely at public meetings here, where the trails will be, proposed trails will be laid out and people can comment on them. And then we'll finalize them, and then we'll start constructing the ones that aren't already. There are trails, as you well know, out there already that are being used, and those will be improved and finalized.
And what these bike riders in this, that are presenting this MOU that we're talking about, have been doing is they've been up there picking up garbage and cutting brush and just kind of doing a lot of grunt work that kind of opens things up a little bit so you can look and see what possibilities are. So they've done a lot of pretty good work. But I would suggest to anybody, especially if you've been riding those trails for a while, I used to horseback ride up there all the time. I mean, I knew every inch of that. I haven't been up there in 20 years. I don't know what trails are there. I have no idea. I can't hardly even walk, so.
It's a lot different than it was 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Say again?
It's a lot different than it was 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I'm serious. I haven't been
It was a
back
lot
there
different than
horseback
it
for
was
20
50
years.
years ago.
Yeah. So, but anyway, those meetings that they just met, or Pat mentioned, the formation meetings, come to them. Be part of them, join up, and that's the way that it gets done. And, so, and we want it to work
Good for everybody.
Yeah, they're public meetings.
They're on our website, and I also post them on Facebook, social media. Yeah, so does the district. Okay? And what's going on?
Well, we have kind of two committees. We have the Forest Committee, which, how many meetings has it had now?
3.
3. So that's kind of the upper level committee, and then they're going to have a subcommittee of that works on the trails. So that's I think the hierarchy and structure of it. And it's all, we're just starting to work in the process. So the more input we get, the better it'll be.
Hey, Greg,
Yeah.
did you want to say a word?
Kirsten.
Can I chime in just a little? So, hi, everyone. I am our Parks and Recreation Director, lots of new faces in the crowd. So I am kind of ultimately responsible for our community forest that falls underneath Parks and Recreation. These MOUs with the mountain bike groups, these were some very gung-ho people. Our board also was gung-ho. We got this public property. We want to get it open. We want to get access to public. We want to let people out there. Obviously, as everyone has been stating, that they've been out there for decades illegally. Now it's not illegal for you to be out there because it's no longer private land. That being said, we're at the beginning. We're at step 1 of this process. And if you're a part of a horseback riding group that wants an MOU with me, come talk to me. Like, I am in the office. You can call me. We can create that. We are a staff. We are open to any organization group that wants to better our community forest and wants to be out there. So just because we already have some with groups that were gung-ho doesn't mean that you can't also be gung-ho and come and reach out to us. Like, we are open. We're, not closed off to any ideas. So I just want to throw that out there to everyone. Like, we have 2 MOUs. We can have multiple MOUs.
Okay, thank you.
I was just curious, I'm Allison Subrad, and I heard you say that the mountain bikers will have designated trails just for mountain bikes?
No, it's multimodal all the way.
There may be? Okay, I thought I heard you say there is going to be. Okay, could we may have trails designated just to equestrians? Okay, just wanted to throw that out there, thanks.
What that young lady said right there, we work with her.
I'm ready now.
Okay.
So I would kind of like to bring this back to the agenda item, and I have a couple of comments that I would like to state. I think that we did review the original MOU for the one group at the community forest subcommittee, but I don't believe that we reviewed both of them. And also, I think that it's important that when we have an MOU that affects the district on a whole like this, that the board of directors should hear those items and allow public input at that time before the MOUs are approved. I kind of would like to see that from now on. I think we're worried about precedents being set, and I think that, the precedent that we need to continue is that these MOUs, there's an opportunity for the public to have a chance to speak to these before they're approved from here on out. A couple of questions I have related to us approving this resolution supporting the action of the general manager in approving the MOUs is if the board, a couple things, if the board doesn't approve this MOU tonight, or this resolution for these 2 MOUs tonight, what does that mean? What does that mean as far as the process of continuing to work on the trails?
So the MOU allows either party to discontinue it. So if the board does not approve it tonight, I would have to go through the process of telling both organizations that,
No, no, I get kind of the legal part of this. I mean, structurally or, you know, realistically out there in the woods, what does that mean for the time being?
like I had mentioned, right now, we have told the mountain bike folks, don't work on this. Now we have the full-blown committee established, and we have the trail subcommittee established, and we need to go through that process. So hold off doing anything. So on the ground, it really isn't making any difference. I am more worried about the legal ramifications. I know you said you don't want to hear about them, but
Well, no, I understand the legal ramifications of it. I just was hoping to find out what it meant for us structurally. And so could these MOUs, could we vet these MOUs through the subcommittee, the trail subcommittee, and then have them be able to kind of redo this or look at them and then bring a recommendation back to the whole committee and then get the board to approve an MOU that the board has approved? Would that be kind of like, so anybody else right now, let me rephrase that. So anybody now that would come and want to have an MOU for some sort of, whether it's the electric bike club or it's equestrian club or it's whatever, whoever it might be, the Boy Scouts or whatever, there's going to be a process that they're going to have to go through where it's going to be vetted through the subcommittee, the community forest committee, and then it's going to ultimately be brought back to the board to approve by a recommendation, correct?
right, yeah, that's how the process is going to work from.
Is going to work from here on out.
Yeah.
So couldn't we kind of take a step back with this and basically run this through that same process?
Sure, we can do anything the board tells me to do.
I just, for my edification on whether how staff would feel about that, so.
Yeah, I am, we can see what sort of comments come out of the subcommittee and the full-blown committee. I am reluctant this has gone through our legal counsel, it'll have to go back through legal counsel. I'm a little bit concerned about people changing legalese, but.
Well, I think there's some things that we can,
Yeah.
I read them both, and I'm completely fine with them. Like I said, my major concern was the fact that we were exposing you signing these two MOUs to more risk than what I thought that you should sign on to as a general manager, because it's kind of our job as the board to ultimately, be present on that, so that, either through direction that the general manager sign these, or through direction that the board president sign these, to kind of relieve you from any sort of structural liability on that. So that's really all I see in this process right now, and that's my major concern is that, this wasn't vetted through public comment, and that the board didn't ultimately sign off on it. Other than that, I read through them, and there was nothing blaring to me that I said, well, we can't live with that. So I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of how I felt about that.
And
Thank you.
through the president. So yeah, if we take it it's already on the agenda to take to the full-blown committee at our meeting, but if we take it to the Trails Subcommittee at the October 29th, and then it would go to the full-blown Community Forest Committee on the 12th of November, and then come to this full board in December. We're also right in the middle of the rain, so there's not like anyone's really itching to get up there and do construction in the rain. I don't see a huge problem with that.
Now, is there anything that we need to do to shore that up before it starts raining? Any of the work that's been done so far?
That's a good question. I know the one trail that runs completely parallel to Murray is pretty well buttoned up. That's a good question.
Yeah, that would be my other concern, is any sort of runoff
Yep.
issues that we might have, that we might need to get in there and do that ahead of time. That would be right now my major concern. The rest of this is more process driven.
Yeah, good point.
Okay.
I
Board have
had a
any more?
comment too, when I was reading this, kind of pertaining to what Greg was just saying, under the section 4, which is MCSD requirements. The first one is provide clear direction regarding trail building and maintenance priorities and the desired outcomes for specific projects within the McKinleyville Community Forest. So that sounds pretty good to me. And then D in that same section is manage environmental permitting and compliance requirements. So that's what, Greg was just kind of mentioning. If we do a lot of trail building, we're going to have to worry about sediments getting into the creek and manage that, and that'll be MCSD's responsibility to do that. So, that's things to consider that are addressed.
Okay. Okay, come on.
Hi, Karen Brooks again. I'm going to go online and look at a copy of that MOU, because one thing that our trail organization provides is liability for people who are working on trails and things like that. So I don't know what their liability requirement is going to be with MCSD, or you sign a waiver or whatnot, but I know that our club specifically buys insurance to do projects like this. And so I think I just text our board president about creating an MOU, so I'll be talking to you about that over this next month, but that's one question that I would have, so thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any more comments from the board?
One, please. If we are, and I assume we are, and direct this to staff member Kirsten Messmer, if we are, I'll use the word soliciting MOU applications from other organizations, how do we intend to make this an open and public process? Or do we intend to publicize it? What do we intend to do so this does not have the, shall we say, the unfortunate shadow of something being done behind the scenes?
And I'll defer to Pat if he wants to take a stab at this too. So with the current MOUs, which really only one of them has one, they're both in place, but one of the groups has been the one doing doing the work. The other one hasn't actually done any work on the forest, the McKinleyville Community Forest property yet. It's explicit in the MOU that there are steps that they have to go through. They have to flag it first, then get approval, tell us what they want to do, get approval. So that is all built into the MOUs that we currently have, which would continue to be built into any future MOUs that we might have with a horse group, that we might have with disc golf groups, might have with the Boy Scouts. I don't know what they specifically might want to build or make out there. So those are built into the MOUs. One thing I would say for the board is that in the TTA, if I'm getting their acronym correct, has spent hours putting in that multi-use trail. And I understand that there may be hurt feelings from some other user groups right now. That was not intended. That was not anyone's intention. That was not their intention. That was not MCSD's intention. We, again, just like we're trying to, like Pat said, we wanted to at least create some access off of Murray so we could get people off of a dangerous road who are going to be accessing the property. Again, also, the board, you guys all wanted it open ASAP, and we didn't have time to get the community forest committee in place, the rules, it all started with getting the rules and regs, and then getting the committee, getting applications, forming these subcommittees. So it is a process that we are in as staff. and working the best with your guys' direction, also working with the best with what we can do for the public. Unfortunately, like, we're all human, things that happen, we made a mistake, but we're here now, and this group that has done the work to put in this one trail has put in hours and hours of work. And for me personally, not acknowledging that through this MOU with them is kind of like a slap in the face to that group. And so I worry about what that does to our relationship with that group.
Thank you. For any other board discussion?
I think that, if I may be so bold, I think Jim's question was more about making sure that any MOUs are brought,
Yeah.
that there's public input on those. I don't think that's really got answered.
Yeah, and so to address that, I suspect the board is going to direct me to take this, these two existing MOUs back to the Trails Subcommittee, have the Trails Subcommittee review it, make recommendations to the full Community Forest Committee, who will review it and then take it to the board. And that is how the process is going to, intended to be from this point forward. So any group that, like I said, we just literally established the subcommittee, they are going to be going out and doing a lot of solicitation of input from the community. And anyone that comes forward saying, hey, we'd love to help, and that's the process that's going to be instituted for them.
Can I take a shot at it too, Jim? So I think that through the process, there's going to be multiple levels of chance for the public to have input in on this, whether it's via the working group, which would be the Trails Committee that's going to be doing the meat and potatoes part. They're going to be making the sausage when it comes to these MOUs. And at that point in time, those will be open meetings and the public can participate at that point in time. Then when they get brought back to the Community Forest Committee for approval of that MOU and the recommendation back to our board, there'll be another chance for community input at that point in time. And then when they get brought back to the board to approve them, to formally approve them, there'll be another chance for public input. So I think that in the process, there'll be, if I'm not mistaken, there'll be three opportunities for the public to have input when it comes to these MOUs.
Okay. May I make one? At the danger of wasting time and being repetitive. The public, I think we have well established the public input process at the level of committee meetings. My concern is not so much that, my concern is how on earth do people know, other than chatter, word of mouth, maybe a website, maybe McKinleyville Watch or some other website, that in fact, if they represent a user group of some sort, whether they represent an equestrian club, whoever else, that there is a process by which they can request and obtain an MOU. And my issue is not with whether or not there's a process. My issue is whether or not people know that there's a process and know that they could. And what I heard you say, Kirsten, well, nobody came to us. Yeah, did they know? Did they, whoever they are, know that they should be coming to us? And my sense is we've not publicized this. We have not made the community aware that we are interested in people coming in and requesting a legal arrangement with MCSD whereby they can go out and do whatever they want to do, whether it be set up bird watching stands or whether it be develop trails. We haven't done our job of saying, hey, if you're interested, here's the door, here's how you get in. And that's my concern, number one. And basically, it's a concern about openness and transparency and fairness across the board for our entire community. And I think that's necessary. Okay? I'll get off my soapbox.
Okay. Yeah.
I would love to address that. Like I said, we literally have just established the Trails Subcommittee. So tonight was about the first time I could even tell when our first meeting with that subcommittee is. So you can't put the cart before the horse, sorry about the pun. You know, we are trying to establish that process. You're in the middle of establishing that process. So you can't tell people about a process that isn't even established yet. So we're working hard, and staff is working very hard to establish that process and get the word out there.
Okay, are there any more comments?
And I'll just, as we establish the process, as we put it in place, and I trust that the process is going to be an absolutely excellent process as it's put in place, how do people know? How do people know?
Joey?
Chair, if I may,
Yes, you may.
I just want to, because words like openness and transparency are being mentioned, I do want to remind folks that our board meetings, the McKinleyville Community Forest Committee meetings, the Park Committee meetings are all thoroughly posted according to California Brown Act standards. They're posted in places in public as well as on the website. They have been posted fully compliant with Brown Act standards. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Greg.
Yeah, I will, and I would just like to reiterate that I think the district is doing the responsibility. I think it's up to the public to be responsible. If they want to participate, they need to find out where that stuff is at and then watch it, that we can't spoon feed it to them. That there will be ways for everybody to know what's on those agendas, but you're probably going to have to keep an eye on a website. It's not going to get texted to you that you need to come to the meeting because there's something going on. I think that, you know, it's just as much your responsibility as a member of the public to participate by being active and paying attention to what's going on. Thank you.
So
Okay.
we've got several horse groups that we have websites and pages and stuff, and I know Karen's very active and a couple of the others out there. And Jim's on the committee, And so I think that information is going to get out, and I think y'all are going to, you know, get that through. I will, and have been, and I will continue to do it to the rodeo club, you know, our mailing list and stuff. And then it actually a lot of times comes down to, as you all know, if there's 100 people in your group, there's 4 or 5 or 8 of you that do all the damn work. And that's the way it's going to be, so do that. You're going to have to do that.
10% of the people do 90% of the work?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and
So you want to speak into the microphone if you want to talk.
Yeah.
all right, plus we got to get back to the agenda as well.
Brian Dorman, it seems to me you're talking around the point. If you want the public to know what trails you're building, you would put it on your website or in some public spot, and you give them 90 days to comment, and then you decide if you're going to go ahead with the trail. It seems pretty obvious to me.
So I want to respond to that. When you and the rest of you and us get those trails developed, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and Mr. Dorman, I'd love to recommend that you attend the Community Forest Committee meetings that are the third Tuesday of each month in this room.
5:30.
Or at 5:30. That's the venue that you should be voicing your concern to regarding the development.
And I appreciate that. And I think if you're going to take an action and put a trail in a park, you should let the public know 90 days in advance what the trail is going to be. I think that's your responsibility, particularly for the staff. That's what they should do, so people know. And so when they come to these meetings, they know what they're commenting on. Otherwise, we're guessing what you're doing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dorman. You were, yeah, that's what we kind of did say. You can take it to the proper venue, send it up the channel, and that's how it gets, that's how your concerns get addressed.
Can I make a
That's all.
motion?
I had a comment too.
Yeah, you've got a
So-
comment.
so-
Too
I
late.
haven't had a comment yet.
My comment was, I can remember spending quite a bit of time talking about motorcycles and electric bikes up there. And so, we've kind of addressed things like that. And maybe you guys didn't see that in notifications, but we did that. And I have a friend who used to motorcycle up there, and he hates me now. So, things, we do things, publicate things the way that we always do through our little public meetings places. And, you have to watch that stuff. Before I was on the board, I got interested in what was going on here. And, public meetings do get announced. They don't get announced very well. They're in the union on the public event site, and then they're on the district's website. So, read those things. Come to meetings. It's great to see people in our seats. I can't remember how many times it's been meetings with empty seats out there and just us chatting to each other. So thank you guys
Yeah,
all
that's
for
for
coming.
sure. It's great to see people out there. Okay, I'm going to bring this back to item E4, considering the adoption of this resolution. When I read through this resolution, I looked for two things. I looked for inclusiveness. And then I looked at how the MOUs were actually came into place and being signed, because I don't remember the MOUs ever coming before the board. When I found out that a binding document was executed through an ad hoc committee without even eyes on it from the board of directors, that's not right. That has to be redone. So Pat made a great recommendation, is to send this back down to where it belongs and put it back up the food chain to where it gets to us and it's done properly with due process. So if anyone wants to entertain a motion like that, I'll be happy to hear it.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that these two MOUs be, the process be exercised on these two motions through the Trails Subcommittee, then brought back to the Community Forest Committee for a recommendation from them to the full board for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Joey?
President Bender?
Yes.
Hold on. He had a question.
Oh, clarifying question.
Just a clarifying question. In the period of time between this evening and when the MOUs work their way back up to a board review, does the agreement with RCMBA and the other mountain biking organization remain in effect? Or does this cancel the agreement?
Are you asking from a legal standpoint or an effective standpoint? From a legal standpoint, this, unless we formally go to tell them we're breaking this agreement, then it stands. It's a legal document that stands. Effectively, like we discussed, they're not doing work now. I'm going to tell them not to do any work except for perhaps buttoning up that trail if it needs to be before it starts raining, until
okay.
it works its way through the process.
And the expectation is usually, you will use good judgment in working through.
And Jim, that was the only reason that I didn't say that we should, that's why it wasn't part of my motion to break these two MOUs, because my concern is that if we have to, if we need help buttoning up any of those trails before it starts raining, that's way more important than the situation we're in right now.
And I think that the good relationship, the support and caring of that needs to be maintained while we work through a process.
Yes.
And the tragedy would be to lose that,
Yeah.
and I don't want that to happen.
Okay, we did have an motion and a second. Joey, would you please call the roll?
President Bender,
Yes.
Director Beitman,
Yes.
Director Couch,
Yes.
Director Mayo,
Yes.
Director Orsini.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item E2, review and discuss annual board self-evaluation. This item is presented by Jerry Blaine.
Thank you, President Bender. As the board is aware, in order to provide an opportunity for all 5 directors to discuss the annual board self-evaluation, this item was tabled on September 4th, 2024 until the October 2nd, 2024 meeting. Per the Board of Directors Policy Manual Rule 11, the board is committed to its own performance as a board to identify the board's strength and areas in which it may improve the board's functioning. The goals of the self-evaluation are to clarify roles, to enhance harmony and understanding among board members, and to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the board meetings. The goal is to improve MCSD policies for the benefit of the McKinleyville community and employees of the district. Members of the board completed the approved self-evaluation questionnaire consisting of several open-ended questions. The results have been compiled for the number of board members that completed the forms in Attachment 1. Board members are encouraged to consider the following questions during the discussion. What stood out to you in the responses from your fellow board members? What new learning was gleaned either about yourself or other board members through the self-evaluation process? What is the value in the board doing a self-evaluation? Why is this activity important to the board? Is there anything about the process and/or evaluation that can be improved upon or changed to make it more meaningful to the board? Staff recommends that the board review the information presented, process desired outcomes and overall compilation of data, take public comment, and discuss the results of the 2024 board self-evaluation.
Okay, thank you. Well, I suppose that we board members have read over the comments that were made in these questions from each other. And I personally see that there's quite a variation, at least in language, length, and direction, frankly, in a lot of these. And we were kind enough to be provided with a few questions here. What stood out to you in responses from your fellow board members? And that's what stood out to me, was the diversity in the comments that answered each question. Some verbose, some very brief. So that's what stood out to me. So let's just go around the room, starting with Director Couch.
Well, you got me wordless here.
Well, we got to talk about it.
Well, I thought the evaluations were really good. I mean,
Okay.
it's all, having been doing these for 20 years, they kind of get redundant.
Yeah.
Well, they're significantly different now than it was.
They
I
are.
mean,
They have been improved.
They were updated.
Okay, Greg?
So I think one of the things that stood out to me was the understanding that the majority of the board members have for what their roles are and what their tasks are. I noticed that there's only that there were a few one-word answers, and I would hope that we would take more time in the future to expound a little bit more on that, so that we can understand as a group where we're all coming from. I think that what new learning was gleaned either about yourself or other board members through the self-evaluation process. I think that you know, there's 3 of us are fairly new board members, and 2 of us have been on the board for quite some time. I think it was enlightening to see that we actually kind of have a good level grasp of what we need to do and how we need to go about doing it. And I think the last one I would like to answer is there anything about the process and/or evaluation that can be improved upon or changed to make it more meaningful to the board? And I think I kind of covered that a little. I think I kind of covered that a little bit with taking the time to do the evaluation, being conscientious about it, and actually putting some thought into it, and using more than one-word answers, I think, would be very helpful. But other than that, I like the format. It's considerably different than what the board had originally had in the board policy manual, and I like it. I hope that we can continue with it. If we ever do a board retreat, maybe bring it back and have us think about maybe adding to or taking away or embellishing some of the questions a little bit more. But that's really all I had. So thank you very much for your time on doing this and helping me kind of, you know, we have a really hard time talking about, personally, us as a board, we can talk to each other as friends whenever we want, but we're really bound about the Brown Act, and it kind of hamstrings us from getting to know and feel where we're at in a general consensus, or in a general sort of term. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Since Director Orsini decided that he was going to address all 4 questions at once, I would offer Director Couch to answer question 2, 3, and 4, and we'll just do it his way.
Wait a minute. I'm not ready for that. Not getting ready for the next section.
I only answered 2. I answered 1, 2, and 4.
I'm not following what's going on here.
When it's your turn, we'll tell you.
Well, maybe I'll be able to handle it, I don't know.
And which ones do you want me to do here?
Well, I think you answered 1, and but 2, 3, and 4,
2, 3, and 4.
they don't have to be super long.
Tell them to pound sand.
Well, on 2, what new learning is gleaned about yourself or other board members through the self-evaluation process? Well, I was probably the one-word answer guy. I'll let you guys know that. And what is the value in the board doing a self-evaluation? Well, these are good. We do these every year. I can remember when sometimes it was a much more lengthy process, but I think it's, important we do this. And as far as about improving the process or the evaluation, well, I think it's been getting better and better. I don't know, if it can make it more meaningful to the board, how much people are really willing to divest in a board evaluation. So that's about it for me.
Okay, thanks. Okay, mine was, well, what stood out to you in your responses from your fellow board members? I did note, like Director Orsini did, that some of them were quite verbose, some of them were quite brief. And the diversity in answers, where people's strengths lay and where they may have some weaknesses. What new learning was gleaned about yourself and other board members through the self-evaluation process? I'm not too sure about how much I learned about myself, but I learned where the other board members have their strengths. Since this is an anonymous thing, that's okay, because we act as a single body. Although I'm pretty sure we could tell who wrote what. What is the value in the board doing a self-evaluation? It's exactly what I said in number 2, getting to know, your fellow board members. And like Greg mentioned, the Brown Act does tie our hands, when it comes to socializing more than 2 at a time. And if we were to be able to get together more socially, which isn't the case unless we go to conference together, then that's something I'd like to see. And why is this activity important to the board? It's, simply writing down our strengths so that the other board members can get to know us a little bit better. Now, in writing out our strengths, and there's power in writing out our strengths, it reminds us that we have a responsibility to exercise those strengths on behalf of the district. So I'd also like to recognize that. Is there anything about the process or evaluation that can be improved upon or changed to make it more meaningful to the board? Well, the new questions are good. I think that, there was, 1, 2, 3, 4 of us who have been on the board for the last 4 years together. And we pretty much know one another. And the questions have been basically, the same since we've been here, or since I've been here. I've only been here for 4 years, so I'm a rookie. But I think the process and the method of evaluation is adequate for, this was good. I appreciated that. Correct, Camille?
So, the questions are basically the same type of questions from my first one, but the format here I like better. And the questions are going to be the same. I mean, it's a known quantity, it's a known deal, it's a known process, and how do individuals function in those parameters in it. It's going to be similar, but yet we always find that there are different answers at times, and we grow and have different thoughts. And so my biggest wish or thing that I think would be positive is, Greg touched on it, retreat, or not only retreat, but as we do our strategic planning, to have this be a subcategory of our strategic plan on us getting together, and I really would like us to, I've said it before, the retreat process is really, really important on honing things down. Now, how do we deal with something that's a real problem? It's a good thing for the public in a lot of ways, but it's a horrible thing. The Brown Act caused us not to be able to have a better vetting of the Big Lagoon deal. If we could have all talked about that and maybe talked with those people more and maybe interacted with our staff and figured out, maybe we could have come up with a better solution. Or if not, and the solution may not have been doing this for them, but the solution may have been, how do we work on getting things in our house to where we could do that type of thing. So, I like the comments. I thought, I especially like the comment that on in what ways do you prepare to participate. Somebody did a really good comment here. Well, I damn well try to take a shower before I come to the meetings. Now, that's important. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. Jim?
Yeah.
It's my first time doing it. I put a lot of thought into my answers. a lot of that thought was, well, what's this really all about anyway? And I've since had some discussion with Pat about this, and I think that anything we do to sit down and reflect, and as Sergeant who said, to do so in writing, I think has tremendous value. Whether it has collective value or individual personal value, I think both, but I think it has tremendous value. The questions, I like the questions, and I was pleased with the responses that I read, that others wrote, because one thing that was consistent throughout is sincere, caring, and supportive of the organization, taking the job seriously. And I like that. That's all I have to say.
Okay,
Thank you.
is that it? Okay, since there is a type of action none, we're going to move on to item E3. Or actually, no, we have to take public comment. Comments from staff? Comments from the public?
Tommy Welch. So I was glad to see you guys answer those questions because I was curious as to what value that evaluation brought to the board. Still not sure that it has a whole lot of value, but you guys see value and that's what matters. I was only thinking that questions 3, 6, and 7 didn't really lend themselves to board evaluation. They seem to get more into general manager evaluation. And to me, that seems like that should be a different and separate evaluation if you want to talk about the board's relationship with the general manager, as opposed to a board evaluation. So that was my comment.
Okay, we do evaluate the general manager periodically. So those type of questions do come up. Thank you. Any other public comment? Nobody on Zoom now. Okay, we'll move on to item E3. Consider approval of regular board meeting dates, time, and location for the 2025 calendar year. Okay, this one's Joey's.
Thank you, President Bender. Both the MCSD rules and regulations and the Board of Directors policy manual address this topic. Regular meetings of the Board of Directors shall be held on the first Wednesday of each calendar month at 6 p.m. at either Azalea Hall, 1620 Pickett Road, or the District Office, 1656 Sutter Road, as specified by the agenda. Additionally, the public may be able to attend regular board meetings by teleconference via Zoom and telephone. The date, time, and place of regular meetings shall be reconsidered annually. The board visited this as an informational item for review at the August 7, 2024 regular meeting. Staff had reviewed the 2025 dates and had taken note that the January meeting would land on New Year's Day, January 1st, 2025. It was proposed that this meeting would be moved to January 8th, 2025, or omitted in items consolidated with the February board meeting. It continues to be staff's preference that the January board meeting be omitted. The remaining 11 dates appear unproblematic. The 2025 regular board meeting calendar, attachment 1, incorporates this suggestion. Staff recommends the board review the material provided, discuss, take public comment, and approve the 2025 regular board meeting calendar, attachment 1.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. Guys, are we good with this?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question. So I know it's just the way things fall, but we're asking to cancel January 1st meeting, which I don't have any issue with. But then we have 6 other meetings that fall before the 4th, on the 4th or earlier. Or wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 meetings that fall on the 4th or earlier. Is there going to be any difficulty with that for staff? I know it's going to kind of jam the last week in the month up. It doesn't happen often that we have this many, but I just was like, did staff give that any thought, or do you guys have any concern about that?
It's part of playing the game. The short answer for me as board secretary is no.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other comments from the board? Comments from staff? Comments from the public? Nope. Okay, I'll call for a motion.
Do we usually review this and then approve it later? Or do we always approve it on this go around?
We brought it up in August when you were absent.
Oh, that's, okay.
Okay. Okay, do we have a second? I guess we have a second. Joey, would you please call the roll?
President Bender?
Yes.
Director Beitman?
Yes.
Director Couch? Director Mayo?
Yes.
Director Orsini?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Active committee reports. Parks and Recreation Committee. That would be me, and I have nothing to add to Director Messmer's report. Okay, Area Fund, that also would be me in the absence of John Colstead, did not meet. Redwood Region Economic Development Commission, Mr. Beitman.
Yeah. The board met, heard a report on the economic condition of the region, had no action items.
Okay.
Did we still have our airport director at that meeting, or was any discussion of that?
No, no, we don't have the airport director, we have the harbor director.
Well, I mean,
No.
Had he resigned before that meeting?
I was wondering if there was a discussion about that.
No, it did not come up.
Okay. McKinleyville Senior Center Board Liaison, that would be me. We didn't do anything really too much out of the ordinary other than have a vaccine clinic that was hosted by Redwood Community Pharmacy yesterday. And we are tabling at the Arcata Fire District open house coming up this Saturday. So we'll probably see some of you there. Short and sweet this month. Okay, Audit and Finance Committee, Orsini or Beitman?
We did not meet, but I believe that we have a meeting scheduled for later this month.
Yes, sir.
What date was that again? Oh, don't worry about it.
October 25th.
The 25th, okay, thank you.
Okay, employee negotiations, Director Couch?
We haven't met, but we actually do have a meeting coming up this month.
Okay.
First time in several years.
Okay, McKinleyville Municipal Advisory Committee, Director Orsini.
Yes, thank you. We did have a meeting, and we had public safety updates from the fire department and from the Humboldt County Sheriff. And we welcome new members. There was the three of the members that termed out, and everybody came back except for Kevin Dreyer, and Mary Burke is now on the McMack. We did we discussed the community survey for the Incorporation Exploration Subcommittee. That will be we'll probably be seeing something on that in a little bit for the public. We discussed the Hiller Road Quick Build Project components and discussed that, and public input received about the modifications. So I think that you'll see some significant work happening between McKinleyville Avenue and Central Avenue. It will all be done via paint and temporary structures. None of it will be permanent. I continue to advocate that before anything is done on Central Avenue, that same that same process be used on Central Avenue, that it all be done with paint and temporary structures if there's going to be any serious changes to Central Avenue in the town center area. Our budget was approved for $8,000, $3,000 in kind from McKinleyville Community Services District, and $3,000 in kind from McKinleyville Community Services District, and $5,000 from the Board of Supervisors. We've spent $10,030 so far this year. Our next meeting for the McMac will be the joint meeting between the McMac and the MCSD in this room at 6 p.m. on the 23rd of October. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Humboldt Bay Muni Water Task Force, Director Couch.
We did not meet.
Did not meet. Okay,
I don't know that
F2.
we're even in existence anymore. We haven't met in quite a while. Years. I do have an additional report, though, that I didn't win the Aflac election. Heidi Benzanelli got me, but they also needed an alternative board member, so I volunteered to be the alternative board member, so I get to go to the Aflac meetings and participate in the discussions, and if they need someone to fill in for the special district members who are absent, I take their place.
Aflac?
Not Aflac, excuse me. What did I just? LAFCO.
I thought he did that intentionally.
No, it's getting seen on.
Okay, great. 1 foot in the door is better than nothing. All right, and thank you for your service. I know you've done this before. Okay, legislative and regulatory reports. Anybody have anything?
Did we skip the community forest subcommittee?
Oh,
Good.
okay.
Nothing
Kellyville
further to
Community. All right, nothing
We've had
further
3
to add.
meetings.
Kirsten, was there anything that you wanted to add on the community forest subcommittee?
Nothing further to add.
All right, thank you.
All right. Well, took care of that. Legislative and regulatory reports. Does anyone have anything? No, go ahead. Okay, yeah.
So I'm not going to do much on the bill stuff, but Scott and I are going to go down to Santa Rosa on the 13th to Senator McGuire's little soiree. It'll be a Sunday down and back on the 13th. And then October 29th, Region 1's program is at Mount Tam, and I'll be going to that. And then on my own, November the 3rd through the 6th, I'll be in Washington, D.C. working on the Fire Victims Trust Fund issue for our California fire victims. So somewhat related to a watershed issues, but on my own.
All right. Anybody else wish to chime in? Okay. President's report. I really don't have too much to add. I'm still trying to get my ankle working. I did go down to the CSDA conference with Director Orsini. That was very, it's always really, really good, very,
How was the magic show?
well, the magic show was a guy that was walking around doing little things. He put on a little formal magic show for about 10 minutes, but he was actually pretty entertaining. It was just a really crowded house, and I was on my scooter, and I couldn't move
It was so
around.
crowded in there. I was outside drinking tequila while the magic show was going on, so I missed it.
Yeah, he was kind of a cool one. Anyway, that's
Yeah,
about
we thought when he was walking around that he was like some random guy that probably came in and crashed the party. We didn't know who he was because his hair was all sticking up and he was, yeah, it was
Yeah,
funny.
he looked pretty eccentric.
Yeah, he did look pretty eccentric.
But he was fun, and he made his presence known. And evidently, he's one of the better magicians in the Southern California area.
Was he?
So He came at a decent amount of expense according to
Christie?
no, I'm not sure if Christie told me that or not.
Who is it?
Jason.
Jaime or
Jason.
Oh, Jason.
Yeah, I was talking to Jason about it.
Well,
Right.
Jason's the one that set that place up.
Yeah, Jason, I rode with Jason in his car over to his house because
That's
my
why-
scooter
that's
wouldn't
why
go
you-
on the bus,
That's why you didn't get lost on the way over.
right? Okay, well, anyway, that's President's report. Staff reports, Finance and Administration Department. Ms. Howard?
I don't think too much to add beyond what I've already stated. We will be hiring our new employee. We're starting to fly that position mid-October, hoping to have a candidate selection with someone on board the beginning of January. Pat wanted me to share the interest earned again on Umpqua Bank this month. It was exciting. I paid my own salary from that. So it was $7,895.48 earned on our money market account in the month of September. I'm continuing to manage our working capital in our Umpqua Bank to increase that revenue. So hopefully it just continues to climb.
Excellent. Okay, Operations Department, Mr. Henry. Okay.
I was going to say, I was reading the monthly report, and the wastewater plant is doing so great. I mean, it's just, it's like a wow.
Yeah, cheerleaders. Okay, Parks and Rec Department, Director Messmer.
Nothing further to add.
Nothing further to add. General Manager Kaspari.
All I was going to add is remind you of the joint meeting on October 23rd, but Director Orsini has already done that, so I have nothing further to add.
It's on my calendar.
Kind of hard getting that word done edgewise with a big mouth like me around, isn't it?
Yeah, for reals. Okay, board member comments, announcements, reports, and agenda item requests.
I have one.
Okay.
Yeah, so the batteries, the photovoltaics have been online for over a year now, or just about a year in the batteries. We've been working with the batteries now for, what, about 6 months or so, 5 months?
Yeah, about that, yep.
So when we have a short meeting, could we get a presentation back to the board? Just an information item on how everything's going with that?
We were going to wait till the end of the year and present it as a present in December.
Oh, perfect. That would be great.
Okay. I'd also like to add that I very much appreciate the weekly briefings that Pat takes the time to provide to us.
Yes.
That's very helpful. Okay. Anybody else have anything for F5? Or shall I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. We are out. Thank you.